Hey everyone, welcome back to Unraveling the Pattern. I'm Lauren. Just yesterday we got a huge announcement about the Wheel of Time Season 2 release date and some awesome official first look images. Be sure to check out my recent video about that. But I'm throwing this video together real quick because I found some interesting news about potential episode names for Season 2 on Twitter today, and I wanted to bring them to your attention. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to Unraveling the Pattern, and consider supporting me on Patreon or here on YouTube, like these awesome people. Spoiler warning, I'll be talking about plot lines and story arcs for characters related to the first 2 seasons of the Wheel of Time show and the first 2 Wheel of Time books, up through The Great Hunt. So if you haven't read the first 2 Wheel of Time books, or if you wish to remain completely spoiler-free, this video might not be for you. Okay, so there's been a lot of chatter about the release date announcement and the awesome images that came out yesterday. And it turns out we know which episode of Season 2 will feature each of these images, but I'll get to that. There were also some interesting tweets from people who claim to have discovered the titles of some or all of the episodes for Season 2 of the Wheel of Time. I cannot confirm if these are legit, but I thought I'd show them to you and at least have something to speculate about, so please take all of this with a grain of salt. Yesterday when I checked IMDb for episode titles, this is what I saw. As of this moment that I'm recording this, it still hasn't been updated. We all know that episode 1 of Season 2 is called A Taste of Solitude. This was announced quite a long time ago by the official Wheel of Time Twitter account, along with this image of the front page of the script. But from 2 completely different sources today, I've learned that these might be possible episode titles. These first are very sketchy to me, and frankly, I don't think they're real. However, they could be code names for possible episode titles that are used for auditioning or other secretive production purposes, but not actual final episode names. I tried to verify where these came from, but I only have these tweets from @MattScoundrel on Twitter as proof. He claims they come from a legit site that hasn't been wrong in the past. If they are real, I think they're likely code names. Season 2, Episode 1, A Taste of Solitude. Then it says Episode 2 is Blood Boiling, Episode 3, Oblivion Crown, Episode 4, Kindly Stranger, Episode 5, Sword in the Stomach, Episode 6, Victims of Night, Episode 7, Horses, and Episode 8, Call of the Plunder. So I actually recorded a portion of this video script yesterday, but since I wasn't able to finish the video as quickly as I'd hoped, I decided to do a bit more digging. So this is future Lauren interjecting to say that I was able to discover the name of the app that these supposed episode titles came from. The app is called TV Time. I downloaded it and was able to view these chapter titles on the app, but I still couldn't find a reliable source. Then I googled some of these chapter titles, and it turns out there are multiple sites reporting that these are the 8 chapter titles for the show. However, I couldn't find any reliable sources for that information, so for all we know, these sites are just regurgitating these titles from each other, and they don't actually have an official source. Okay, back to yesterday's script. Like I say, I'm not sure that these are real. However, we seem to have received a much more legit source for at least 6 episode titles. Our friend Camille, or Rational Nerd on Twitter, claims that this was found by her friend on the official WGA or Writers Guild of America website. Future Lauren interjecting here again. I was able to confirm that anybody can find these titles on the official WGA.org site. They were posted by Mesquite Productions Inc., which is directly connected to Sony Pictures Entertainment. Back to yesterday's script. It shows episode titles for the Wheel of Time, but they aren't in order. I think they're shown by submission date and then alphabetically. As you can see, we have all the known episode titles from Season 1, but here are the new titles: A Taste of Solitude, Daughter of the Night, Demane, Eyes Without Pity, Strangers and Friends, and What Might Be. Remember, these aren't in order. A few things of note. Demane is spelled wrong. It should be Damane. Next, we could talk about all of these, but if these are legit, the one that gets me the most excited is What Might Be. I immediately hope that this would be a Portal Stone Mirror Worlds episode, which I know many people have speculated won't be in the show at all. If we get those flicker sequences, I will be so happy. But I realize this could also possibly be related to Dreams or 90s Accepted Test or something. Strangers and Friends could definitely refer to Varen, or Lord Barthanes and Kyrian, or the Shanchan, or many others. Demane is very likely related to a Egwene storyline. And Daughter of the Night is very exciting because it's probably about Lanfear. If I had to guess, I think episode 8 will be called The Grave is No Bar to My Call, which was recently included as an Easter egg in the Old Tongue in yesterday's release date announcement video. Now, I believe this second list is likely more legit than the first, but if we compare the 2 lists, some interesting things come out. I have no clue what blood boiling refers to, though I guess it could refer to the Shanchan since they are of the blood. Future Lauren interjecting again. I compared all of the chapter titles from books 2 and 3 to these lists, and I realized that Blood Boiling could possibly refer to Blood Calls Blood, but as we know, that was an episode title from Season 1. That said, this immediately made me think of these images from the Season 2 sneak peek video. Could this be related to the Dark Prophecy and Lanfear's return? Anyway, I don't know which of these more likely episode titles could go here, so I'll just put Eyes Without Pity here for now. Oblivion Crown first made me think of Elaine. Comparing it to the other titles though, it could possibly be referring to the item or the leash that the Damane wear. So I'm gonna guess that Damane is episode 3, though admittedly that feels a bit early if it's related to Egwene's storyline with the Shan-Chan. Future Lauren again. Without getting too deep into spoilers, it occurred to me this morning that the word Oblivion is often related to Ishamael's character. Could the Oblivion Crown have something to do with the Nameless? I know it's a stretch. Kindly Stranger, which is supposedly episode 4, could easily refer to strangers and friends, which is why it makes me think of Varen. She is a kindly stranger. Future Lauren again. Looking at chapter titles from The Great Hunt, we have Friends and Enemies, and another chapter called New Friends and Old Enemies. But the chapter called Strangers and Friends is from The Eye of the World, and it happens to be the first time that Dane Bornhold is introduced in Barloam. Could this be the episode when Dane Bornhold and the White Cloaks are introduced in Season 2? Sword in the Stomach makes me think of Sheathing the Sword, which is something Lan teaches Rand when he's training him how to use the Heron Mark sword. I really hope that's the name of that episode, and I hope this means we'll get those long-awaited scenes of Lan teaching Rand. Victims of Night makes me think of the Daughter of the Night, so I'll put that as episode 6. The title Horses doesn't really stand out to me as anything, but what do you think it could be? I'll put the 7th episode as What Might Be for now, because I think that would be an absolutely stellar 7th episode and an insane lead up to the big finale with the Heroes of the Horn. And Call of Plunder makes me think of The Call of the Horn or The Grave is No Bar to My Call, so I'll keep that speculated title as number 8. So again, assuming these are real titles, here's my list of possible titles and their order. Episode 1, A Taste of Solitude. Episode 2, Eyes Without Pity. Maybe. Episode 3, Damane. Probably a little early. Episode 4, Strangers and Friends. Episode 5, Sheathing the Sword. That's a total guess on my part. Episode 6, Daughter of the Night. Episode 7, What Might Be. Episode 8, The Grave is No Bar to My Call. Again, another total guess on my part. Looking at this list again, I really think Damane would come later, probably around episode 6, and I think Daughter of the Night should come earlier, probably episode 3. So I'm switching these. Now to throw a wrench in all of this. Along with the release date announcement, we got 8 official promotional images of Season 2, and we were able to discover that they're assigned to different episodes of Season 2. You can learn more about the details of this at the Watt series link I've included in the description. I discuss more details about these images in my recent release date Unraveled video. These first 2 images are part of episode 1. These images of Nynaeve in her accepted test and Lan on his horse are part of episode 3, which means that it's very unlikely that episode 3 is called Damane. This could definitely be Eyes Without Pity, since I could see Nynaeve going through the accepted test and then receiving no pity from the Aes Sedai when she's finished. Some people think this image of Lan could be part of Nynaeve's accepted test as well, which would explain how in the world Lan got his horse back. This image of Moraine is part of episode 4, which I believe strongly will take place in Cairhien. Strangers and Friends still fits with that for me. This image is supposedly part of episode 5, which I have a hard time believing, but this really could be called anything, so I'll keep it as Sheathing the Sword, which remember is a total guess on my part. And finally, these last 2 images with Perrin, Aviendha, and Masema here, and Rand here, are part of episode 8 and definitely seem to be a part of the Battle of Falma with the White Cloaks, the Shan-Chan, and the Heroes of the Horn. One last Future Lauren interjection here. I saw 2 awesome posts related to these images yesterday on Twitter that I wanted to bring to your attention. At Taviran Tavern noticed that this man in the background in this Moraine image looks a lot like Padan Fain, and I totally agree. Great catch, Taviran Tavern. This makes it even more likely to me that this scene takes place in Cairhien, and that Moraine will likely be finding Rand in Cairhien, possibly just before or just after Padan Fain takes the horn back, assuming they follow the storyline from the book. The folks from the wonderful Takaran Riyadh podcast also posted this amazing find from the recent images that I wanted to point out. Next to Masema in this image, there's a sleeve from someone that's just barely visible, but if you compare this to the image of Ishamael in this other promotional shot, the sleeves look very similar. I even tried brightening this sleeve up, and I think I can even see the weird ring thing on his hand that Ishii is always wearing in all of his scenes. I think this is an amazing find. That said, the backgrounds don't perfectly match, and supposedly this image is from an earlier episode. But I, like many others, have been having a really hard time trying to understand why Ishamael is visible in plain sight in this image. I mentioned this in my recent breakdown video, but what if he's only visible to certain people? What if he's visible as a sort of devil on the shoulder to Suroth here, and maybe to Masima here? It's also possible that, like Loyal, who for some reason seems to be in service to the Shanchan, perhaps Masima was also brought into the Shanchan military after swearing his oaths. It still doesn't make sense that Ishamael would be here with Aviendha and Perrin. Could they all be under some sort of compulsion? So what do you think? Do you think these episode titles are legit? Keep in mind this could be all totally wrong, but I hope at least some of these titles are accurate, especially Daughter of the Night and What Might Be. Please keep your comments respectful, and until next time, let the dragon ride again on the winds of Prime.